How does an old, abandoned, overgrown farmhouse turn into one of the most impressive historic attractions in Bucks County? Let's talk about the Moland House. Did you know some of the main characters in the hit Broadway show Hamilton were right here in Bucks County in August of 1777? George Washington, Lafayette, John Lawrence, and of course, Alexander Hamilton. What if I told you that all four of these men spent almost 2 weeks camped out in the heart of Bucks County during the Revolutionary War in the summer of 1777? It's true. Plus, there was another future president there, and a future Supreme Court Chief Justice, and the key generals of Washington's Council of War, including Nathaniel Greene, Henry Knox, and Mad Anthony Wayne. The fields of Warwick Township were filled with 11,000 soldiers and another 3,000 or 4,000 camp followers. General Washington was worried that the British troops would try to occupy Philadelphia, but he wasn't sure how they'd approach, so the Americans hunkered down here in Bucks County to wait for 13 days. It all happened in Warwick Township on what we call the Old York Road, where Route 263 crosses the Little Neshaminy Creek. Let's have a look at the historical and beautifully restored Moland House.
This, ladies and gentlemen, in fact, is the room where it happened. Washington was incredibly perplexed because the British had left New York in the middle of July, and this is now August 10th. And he had no idea where they were. So he figured that they probably were going to come to Philadelphia, and he found this to be an excellent place to camp. And he's waiting for word as to where that fleet is. Well, he's going to be waiting for almost 2 weeks, because what happened is that the British sailed past the Delaware Bay and had to come up the Chesapeake Bay, adding at least a couple of weeks onto their voyage. The 11th day of the encampment, August 21st, Washington brings his entire cast of characters into this room. The people who were in this room actually signed their names to minutes of the Council of War. Here you see not only George Washington's signature, you see Lafayette, you see Nathaniel Greene, whose headquarters was right across the street. You see Henry Knox, whose headquarters was up the hill. He was in charge of all of the artillery at that particular time. And so here's the cast, and they're here. I like to picture Alexander Hamilton sitting in that corner with his pen and ink, taking notes.
In the end, the Americans marched south, and they would fight the British in the Battle of Brandywine. The Redcoats prevailed and soon occupied Philadelphia. But as we know, General Washington wasn't finished. That's the history of the Moland House from 250 years ago. But there's another chapter that was written just in the last 25 years, the story of how the citizens of Warwick banded together to save this precious historic site and restore its beautiful house. We will hear about that in another of the Bucks County Herald's Revolutionary Reels.